Hey guys, Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around we had The Doctor Dances. What was that one about?
I remember The Doctor dancing, but it's been a week, so I've forgotten everything else.
Yeah, so continuing on from The Empty Child, the Doctor met up with Rose and Captain Jack, and we basically learned that Jack is a freelancer, or really a con man, who was going to sell the time agents on this whole thing of like, well, it's an empty, ambulance ship. You pay 50% up front. Oh, turns out it was blown up by a German bomb. Well, I'll buy you a drink with your own money at least. Turns out that what was in the ambulance was nanogenes that sprang out, found a dead child with a gas mask, and thought, this is what humans are. And that's why everyone was changing into those. And then at the end, they revealed that Nancy was the child's mother, actually, and the nanogenes were able to recognize her as the parent, and thus fixing him and fixing everyone into being actual humans.
All right, I remember all that now.
Yes, so. And then Jack was going to blow up with the bomb that was supposed to destroy the thing, but he took it onto his ship. And then the Doctor materialized the TARDIS inside of his ship, saved him, and got out of there before he exploded with the bomb. So that's pretty much where we left off.
That's pretty much what I remember now.
Yep.
And if you're wondering about my voice, I've had something all week long, some kind of cold. And, of course, moved my voice an octave or two lower, which has been very interesting since I'm in a play. I'm still doing Charlie's Aunt. We have the rest of this weekend and then next weekend. I was telling Alex and his brother at breakfast this morning, it's like I should say to the audience, what was it? You best be believing in Victorian farces, audience. You're in one.
It's a pretty good Barbossa impression. So, I just remembered it. This is too complicated to say quickly, but have you heard anything about the Disney death lawsuit thing that's been going on?
No.
Well, there's a whole thing about it. I won't get into it, but it's a whole thing of like, basically someone's spouse died and because of an allergic reaction to something at like Disney World, and they were trying to sue Disney for a wrongful death or something. Disney was trying to counter-argue that, well, you've signed up for Disney Plus since then, so we shouldn't be held accountable at all. But someone took Barbossa and put like all this like techno stuff on him, and it was just, you best start believing in a cyberpunk dystopia. You're in one. So, but luckily, after all of the terrible press that you might imagine Disney has received, they have backed down on that, and they are willing to settle with the widow or widower. I don't remember. So that's a whole thing. Apparently, at Disney World, they have something where Deadpool comes out, and he starts making jokes. Apparently, he's been joking about that recently. So, anywho, but that just came up into my mind. So, anywho. I don't really have much left, or much else to say, I guess, before going into this one. We got 3 episodes left, including this one. Yeah.
So it's Boomtown, Bad Wolf, and then the Doctor exits, and Den comes in?
Pretty much, yeah. So, that'll pretty much round out the first season of the revival, so... I don't know. I feel like our intros have been getting shorter and shorter, but I don't know. We just don't have as much to talk about anymore. Probably because we're not having to talk about comments that often. Like, I've noticed since we entered modern Doctor Who, it's like, comments have been much more tame. There hasn't much... I mean, that's mostly because we haven't been ragging on episodes that much, so...
Well, I have to say, I've really, truly enjoyed Christopher Eccleston, which I kind of suspected and hoped that I would after... And our tour of New Who, just seeing that one episode, Dalek, really made a favorable impression with me.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sure there will be an episode or two in the future that maybe we have. The thing is with modern Doctor Who, if there's ever an episode where we're like, well, we didn't really care for that, I guarantee that the fan base hates it more. Like that's what I found watching modern Doctor Who is I'm actually more lenient on those episodes.
I thought they were all good. The only one that I had questions with, and again, it was simply because of the historical nature of it, was the Orient Express one with Capaldi.
Yeah.
What was that?
Mummy on the Orient Express.
Mummy on the Orient Express. Yeah, it just, that one, in my opinion, it messed too much with both the Orient Express and the Mummy, things that I know of simply because of my sci-fi background. But I love Peter Capaldi. I thought he was great. And who was the girl? Was that Clara?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she was great. It's just that the story did not gel as well for me as Waters of Mars and what was the one with Jodie Whittaker?
Demons of the Punjab.
Demons of the Punjab. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's also one where it's like, it's the Orient Express, but it's the Orient Express in space. So it's not really like if you were actually on the Orient Express, that'd be one thing. But I don't know.
And by the way, and I can say this because this is not going to go out for another 2 weeks, but next season at the theater where my wife and I are the co-producers, we are going to be doing Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, as adapted by Ken Ludwig.
Yeah. I thought about one time, because, and we'll get into this when we actually get to the episode, but there is an episode with Agatha Christie, and I got in so much trouble for not knowing who Agatha Christie was. I didn't know. I wasn't taught that in my school.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But I thought about reading Agatha Christie, but I'm kind of at a point where I'm just like, I don't know how much I can really get into novels anymore. Like I find them kind of difficult. So I've actually found last year they actually put out a graphic novel of Murder on the Orient Express. So I thought I might check that out.
Yeah, a lot of her stuff is not really novel length. The Mousetrap, which I think was actually based on a short story called Three Blind Mice. And again, most of her stuff, I guess you could call it a novella or, an extended short story, but they're really not all that difficult. And again, if you can read Agatha Christie and figure out who the bad guy is or bad person is, then she's an excellent writer. If you can figure it out before the end of the story, then you're doing really well, because she is a master tactician of the red herring, putting you totally off the track, and when you come to the end, you're going, what? No, that can't be the person who did this, and then you go back and go, oh wait, she left a string of clues that we just completely ignored.
Yeah, so, but I've thought about that for like a lot of stuff. I mean, I tried reading The Three Musketeers once. I got exactly one paragraph into it, and I thought, I can't do this. Because I say a paragraph. It was one sentence, and it just kept I had to keep going back and be like, okay, so what did he say 3 lines ago? Okay, so this and this, and I was like, say this shorter. Say they went to this place, or something. It was like driving me crazy, and I was like, I need a different version of this.
And yet, you read The Count of Monte Cristo.
I did. But I think that was an abridged version.
Yeah.
And B, we read that like in class. Like it was, we had specific things that we had to read, for each day. So that was a interesting year of English class as well, because like it was sort of all over the place in terms of like what we were reading. It's like, we read Beowulf, which was good. We kind of watched and read Macbeth. It was like kind of half watching, half reading. We read The Count of Monte Cristo, and then we like watched Test of the D'Urbervilles, which I will always hold as the worst thing I've ever seen. But it was just like all over the place with that stuff. So yeah. But I thought about I've tried looking for a Three Musketeers graphic novel, and I haven't really found a good or a more recent one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's the 73 and 74 movies, the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers, pretty much cover most of the novel, and it's very, very well done. The more modern adaptations, although they're fun, they don't preserve as much of the original stories.
What about the Mickey Mouse one? Just out of curiosity. No, all right. It was worth a try, but I mean, that's good at least if there is a film adaptation, because that is absolutely the problem with The Count of Monte Cristo. Is there is no. I mean, there are good movie adaptations in that was a good movie that is technically based on this story, but none of them, probably because the book's so friggin' long. Although I imagine The Three Musketeers is long too, but The Count of Monte Cristo, there's so much to do that it's impossible for any movie. I'm amazed that they haven't made, a mini-series or something out of that book.
I think they have, but it's probably something that they did on the BBC, and we simply haven't seen it here yet.
Yeah, so and generally it's like, especially with the movies, it's always like the ending that they really mess up the hardest. So the closest, I will hold to this. The closest adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo is called Gankutsuo. It's an anime, and it takes the story of The Count of Monte Cristo, sets it 3,000 years in the future, and instead of going to Rome, they go to the moon. And then they do go back to Paris, but it's future Paris, and it's ridiculous, and it's crazy. It is, though, the most accurate adaptation that exists. So it's something. I made a whole review of it years and years ago here on the channel, but if it's about 26, 28 episodes.
And he made me watch it.
Okay. I will admit, if you don't watch any anime, terrible starter. But if you can look past it, it's a really solid adaptation. You can watch the sub. I can also vouch for the English dub of it. It was really good. Not what I would say, not on my list of anime to watch if you've never watched anime before, but it's the best adaptation that exists. So honestly, for you, if I were to try again, which I don't know if I really want to, because I've really tried animated stuff with you and it just doesn't work. But if I were to try again, there's a show, we've talked about this actually, there's a show called Vinland Saga that it's none of the futuristic stuff. It's an actual piece of historical fiction. There's no fantasy, there's no magic, there's no nothing. They could make it in live action, and it'd be 1-to-1 exactly the same. So Vinland Saga is definitely, if you don't watch anime, and especially if you like history and stuff, Vinland Saga is the one to go for. So
but back to Doctor Who.
I was about to say, I just talked about how our intros aren't long anymore, and then here we are talking about books and stuff. Yeah. So anywho, we should probably jump right in.
Let's do it.
To Boomtown.
Boomtown.
There's still no word from inside Downing Street. So we are getting
Oh Lord, are the Slitheen's back? 6 months later.
It is an unfortunate recap.
Am I right in thinking you've shown your results only to me?
Just to you. No one else.
Wise move.
I can't tell you, Mrs. Blair, this is such a wake up.
If anyone says that to you, that's your cue to run.
I couldn't believe my own...
So, a nuclear power plant in London.
Hey, Mickey. Everyone's favorite Mickey.
I realize this is 20 years ago, but the city of Cardiff looks like a really kind of cool place to visit.
Yeah.
We may have to go there someday. It is just north of where our family is from.
I might need it. You see, I'm prepared for anything.
Sounds like you're staying.
Well, you made it awkward.
So, what are you doing in Cardiff? And who the hell's Jumping Jack Flash? I mean, I don't mind you hanging out with big ears up here.
Oi!
Look in the mirror. But this guy, I don't know, he's kind of
Handsome.
Thing is, Cardiff's got this rift running through the middle of the city. It's invisible, but it's like an earthquake fault between different dimensions.
The rift was healed back in 1869.
Thanks to a girl named Gwyneth, because these creatures called the Gelf, they were using the rift as a gateway, but she saved the world and closed it.
Have the engines soak up the radiation?
Like filling her up with petrol and off we go!
Into time and space!
Oh my God, have you seen yourselves? You all think you're so clever, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yep.
Should take another
That's nice. We're bringing everything back.
The TARDIS is meant to disguise itself wherever it lands. Like if this was ancient Rome, it'd be a statue on a plinth or something. But I landed in the 1960s. It disguised itself as a police box, and the circuit got stuck.
So they copied the real.
Why don't you just fix the circuit?
I like it, don't you?
I love it.
But that's what I meant. There's no police boxes anymore, so doesn't it get noticed?
Ricky, let me tell you something about the human race. You put a mysterious blue bomb slap bang in the middle of town. What did he do? Walk past it. Now stop your nagging. Let's go and explore.
What's the plan?
I don't know.
You never want to make
We're in
trouble.
the 21st century, and the wind's coming from the east. Trust me.
You know, there's an actual geologic rift along the west coast of the British Isles. The Appalachian Mountains in the United States are part of the mountains in Eastern Europe and Eastern Africa, or Western Europe and Western Africa.
No photographs. What did I say? Take pictures of the project by all means, but not me, thank you. So,
Well, that'll be on the tabloids tomorrow morning.
Castle, but I give you my personal guarantee that as long as I walk upon this earth, no harm will come to any of my citizens. Now drink up.
Interesting phrasing.
To the future. To the future. And believe me, it will glow.
First of all, there was the entire team of the European safety inspectors.
But they were French. It's not my fault if danger explosives was only written in Welsh.
And then there was that accident with the Cardiff Heritage Committee.
The electrocution of that swimming pool was put down to natural wear and tear.
And then the architects.
It was raining. Visibility was low. My car simply couldn't stop.
And then just recently, Mr. Cleaver, the government's nuclear advisor.
Slipped on an icy patch.
He was decapitated.
It was a very icy patch. I'm afraid these stories are nothing more than typical small town thinking. I really haven't got time. If you'll excuse me.
Well, they are. It's the worst excuses.
Oh, my poor tummy is complaining. I think we might have to make a detour to the ladies.
Oh, wait here.
Oh, come on. All girls together.
Oh dear.
So, you were saying these outlandish theories of yours?
Ew.
Sounds like we got here just in time.
You're with child.
3 months. It's not showing yet. Wasn't planned. It was an accident. Nice accident, though.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh no, the alien has learned compassion.
I had quite a sizable family once upon a time. Wonderful brothers. Oh, they were bold. But all of them gone now.
And then they exploded.
Maybe.
Thanks for talking.
Thank you.
She couldn't see those feet under the door.
According to intelligence, the target is the last surviving member of the Slovene family, a criminal sect from the planet Rexicorical masquerading as a human being zipped inside a skin suit. Okay,
I thought that had an
final
A in
attack,
it.
presumably.
Just go in there and tell her the doctor would like to see her.
Doctor Who?
Just the doctor. Sardine heading on.
On my way.
Over and out.
Oh my God.
Leave the mayor alone.
Good jump. Not so good jump.
She's got a teleport. That's cheating. Now we're never gonna get her.
Oh, the doctor's very good at teleports.
I could do this all day.
This is persecution. Why can't you leave me alone? What did I ever do to you?
You tried to kill me and destroy this entire planet.
Apart from that.
You're a Slovene. You're on.
Fantastic. is that a tribophysical waveform macrokinetic extrapolator?
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Blow up a whole planet just to get a lift.
Like stepping on an anthill.
How do you think of the name?
What? Blythe Droog?
Blythe Droog.
What's it mean?
Bad wolf.
But I've heard that before. Bad wolf. I've heard that lots of times.
Everywhere we go, 2 words following us. Bad wolf.
How can they be following us?
Nah, just a coincidence. I get in a word on the radio and hear it all day. Never mind. Things to do.
Anyway, back to
I'm gonna
business.
take you home.
Take me home and you take me to my death.
Not my problem.
I fail to see where that's my problem.
Meh.
We've got a prisoner. The police box is really a police box.
You're not just police, though. Since you're taking me to my death, that makes you my executioners. Each and every one of you.
Oh, we're just law-abiding
You
citizens.
deserve it.
You're very quick to say so. You're very quick to soak your hands in my blood. Which makes you better than me how, exactly?
Less blood.
How strong is your stomach?
Strong enough.
I wonder. I've seen you fight your enemies. Now dine with them.
You won't change my mind.
Prove it.
A very interesting premise.
There are people
yeah.
out there.
If she moves more than 10 feet away, she gets zapped by 10,000 volts.
Margaret, would you like to come out to dinner? My treat.
Dinner in bondage. Works for me.
Kinky.
It makes you wonder why he has those. And why that was the one thing he took from his ship.
That's where I was living as Margaret. Nice little flat. Over there. On the top. Next to the one with the light on. 2 bedrooms. Bayside view. I was rather content. I suppose I'll see it again.
Suppose not.
Strike one.
A female Raxacoricophalopatorian can manufacture a poison dart within her own finger.
Yes, I did.
Just checking.
And that's two.
As a final resort, the excess poison can be exhaled through the lungs.
That's better.
And that's
What
three.
do you think? Steak looks nice.
There's something happened, something to do with the sun, and I don't know. But the sea just frozen. Like, in a split second. In the middle of a storm, right? Waves and foam just frozen. All the way out to the horizon. Midnight, right? We walk underneath these waves 100 feet tall and made of ice.
I'm going out with Trisha Delaney.
So? Trisha from the shop?
Yeah, Rob Delaney's sister.
But she's nice. She's a bit big.
She lost weight. You've been away.
Well, good for you, she's nice.
So tell us more about this planet then.
That's it, really.
It sounds so cool. And why can't we have that as an episode?
Money!
Acidity is perfectly gauged to strip away the skin. Internal organs fall out into the liquid. And I become soup. And still alive.
Okay, but you tried to kill
Don't make the law.
8 billion people.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of
There used to be a real Margaret Blaine. You killed her and stripped her and used the skin.
That's also a good
Pleading for
point.
mercy out of a dead woman's lips.
Give me a chance, Doctor. I can change.
I don't believe you.
So what do you want to do now?
Don't mind.
You could ask about hotels.
You're still trying.
Trisha Delaney saying.
You're striking out.
It's a bar down there with a Spanish name or
You don't
something.
even like Trisha Delaney.
Oh, is that right? What the hell do you know?
I know you, and I know her, and I know that's never gonna happen. So who do you think you're kidding?
At least I know where she is.
It's got nothing to do with Trisha. This is all about me, isn't it?
You left me! We were nice. We were happy.
You were happy,
And then what, you
Mickey.
give me a kiss
Yeah.
and you run off with him and you make me feel like nothing, Rose. I was nothing.
You had multiple
I can't even
chances to
out
go.
with a stupid girl. Am I just supposed to sit here for the rest of my life waiting for you because I will?
I'm sorry.
Mickey, you gotta move. You gotta like go overseas or something. You need to let her go.
I promise you I've changed since we last met, Doctor.
You're still trying.
She's alive somewhere right now. She's walking around this city because I can change. I did change. I know I can't prove it.
I believe you.
And you know I'm capable of better.
It doesn't mean anything.
I spared her life.
You let one of them go, but that's nothing new. Every now and then a little victim's spared because she smiled, because he's got freckles, because they begged. And that's how you live with yourself.
From what I've seen, your funny little happy-go-lucky life leaves devastation in its wake. Always moving on, because you dare not look back. Playing with so many people's lives, you might as well be a god. And you're right, Doctor. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you let one go. Let me go.
Maybe you don't let Hitler go.
I'm not asking him to leave
Like,
him 'cause
we'll let you go to like Jersey or something. I don't know.
It's him again, isn't it? It's the doctor. It's always the doctor. It's always gonna be the doctor. It's never me.
That needy there, Mickey.
Yeah.
Just destroying the city of Cardiff now, are we?
Oh, not Cardiff.
The rift. The rift's opening.
Jack, what are you doing? Oh man, there's always a sky beam.
Of course, opening the rift means you'll pull the ship apart.
So soon.
It's not just any old power source. It's the TARDIS. My TARDIS. The ship's alive. You've opened its soul.
It's the Eye of Harmony.
Eh.
Thank you.
It's like the Ark of the Covenant.
Here she is.
She's an egg.
Regress to a childhood.
She's an egg.
She can start again. Live a life from scratch. If we take her home, give her to a different family, tell them to bring her up properly, she might be all right.
Or she might be worse.
That's her choice.
She's an egg.
She's an egg.
Oh my god, Mickey.
You give her to the Johnsons, not the Slovene.
Yeah, what's all this then?
Must have been the wind.
Do you want to go and find him? We'll wait.
No need. He deserves better.
Off we go then. Always moving on.
I'm not arguing with that. Alrighty.
Okay. A very philosophical episode.
Yeah, it went deep. It went deep on that one. Well, I guess we can just go to the main question. I don't know, how do you phrase the exact question? It's like, are you just as bad if you're the executioner? If you're sending someone like her to her death?
Well, theoretically, no. I mean, on her own planet, in her own culture, what she did, not what she did on Earth, but essentially the fact that the Slovenes had been banished, and she was already convicted. That doesn't even make the Doctor a bounty hunter. He just happened to find her.
Yeah.
She was committing more crimes on Earth, and then taking her back is what justice is. I mean, it's not vengeance, it's not revenge of any kind. It's justice. She is getting what she deserved. Now, even if she had turned out to be a person who was sincerely trying to change, which she was not, But the fact is, you still have a debt to your society, to your culture. Unfortunately, on her planet, that's the death penalty. Some places here on Earth, including the United States, still have the death penalty. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I completely support it. But that's the law, you know? So if you break the law, then, you know, justice must be served. Now, then there's the question of mercy. Does the doctor have the authority to mitigate her circumstances? He does not. The best he could do would be to go back to her planet and say, listen, I believe she has changed. He can argue his case for her. If they decide that he's right, they could let her live. If they decide he's not right, they have to carry out what is justice on their planet. So, I mean, that goes back to the whole thing with Star Trek and sci-fi of every genre, and that is the culture that you come from. The culture that we come from cannot be compared to cultures in Europe or Asia or Africa or Australia. There are things that are similar. All human beings share certain similar traits, but not all cultures do. So, and again, since the doctor has no way of knowing whether she's sincere or not, the TARDIS does apparently, but he didn't. I mean, he suspected she wasn't sincere, obviously. But the fact is, all of that crap that she was putting on him, that he was the same thing, you know, he's talked about how he's the last one. He's the only survivor of the Time War, and essentially he feels responsible for the Daleks and the rest of the Time Lords being gone. Again, he was doing what he had to do to literally save the rest of the universe. All right? Is he complicit in the destruction of the Daleks? Yes. If he had not been, what would the Daleks have done? The problem is, for the doctor, there's no one left to judge him. She was trying to judge him, and he's saying, you're not qualified to judge me. You don't come from my culture. You don't know what I had to go through. So I'm sorry to get so deeply philosophical there, but no, I think he was right. Even if she was truly and sincerely apologizing for what she had done, that doesn't make up for the fact that what she had done has to have some consequence.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I think, is you pointing out Star Trek. Like, I could see this being a Star Trek. I mean, just the very basic premise of this, not the whole thing of let's go get dinner in Cardiff and stuff like that. That wouldn't be a Star Trek episode, but I could see something of, like, the Next Generation, where, like, there's this prisoner who was captured in Federation space, and the Enterprise is tasked with, returning him, and it's like, well, they're basically returning him to, like, the Romulans to be judged, or just someone where everyone on the ship kind of looks around like, should we be doing this? Like, should we be doing essentially giving a prisoner to the Romulans and stuff? The difference, though, is, like, that would come up because of the Romulans, honestly. Like, if it was a thing of, like, going to the Klingons or the Vulcans or something, like, there might not be that big of an issue. And it's sort of the thing here. It's like the rest of Rexicorco-Falpatorius, we haven't seen them. We haven't seen that, if they're any sort of, corrupt government, or if they're a menace to the galaxy or anything. We don't know about that.
Yeah.
All we know is they tried and found guilty a family that was going to destroy the Earth for profit.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's all we know about them, and at that point, well, that sounds pretty reasonable,
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's the thing. It's like, it's not even a thing of like, well, where, because, I could also see it as a thing of like, well, what if there was a prisoner and the United States had to return this prisoner to Russia, I could see a lot of debate around that. But that's also because it's Russia. Like, if there was someone that we had to return to the UK or to France or to Italy or any other European country that we're allied with, then it wouldn't really be that big of an issue.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting thing, because she says, it's like you're so willing to soak your hands in my blood, and how does that make you any different? And I kind of joked about it, but it's like, well, it's less blood, That's not really on. It's just, and it is also just the fact that it's respecting that culture, you know? Like, the Doctor, he has no business in this. The only business that he has in this is that she is a danger, especially to Earth, which he has kind of put under his own protection, and there is someone, you know, a group that will deal with her and has pretty much already dealt with her and her people, so send her there.
Yeah.
And even the whole thing of, like, you know, even the whole thing of, you know, regressing her to her childhood, it's like, oh, she can, you know, be raised again, you know, she could be better or she could be worse. I suppose that leads into the question of, well, is she going to retain any of her memories, or is she just starting life completely over? Which at that point, that is already a punishment, because that means Margaret is gone now.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you could say they still technically carried out the execution, you know? So I don't know. It's a thing of, like, it's good that they at least have this sort of, you know, moral dilemma and stuff, but it's like, but at the same time, I like that it is still sort of a clear answer. You know, it's a thing of, like, yes, but we are at least going to think about this. So,
many years ago, when I was teaching world history, I came across a quote from an Eastern Roman Empire emperor, basically defining justice as each person getting what he or she deserves. If you're a good person, you deserve to have good things happen to you. That would be justice. If, however, you are an evil person, then you deserve whatever happens to you. I mean, that's the whole point here. This isn't vengeance. It's, you know, not revenge of any kind. It's not, we're not acting out of malice. This person committed certain crimes against either humanity or their own culture, whatever. And that society, that culture, has decided this is the punishment for that kind of behavior. You are getting what you deserve. You were raised in a society where you knew what you were doing was wrong, and yet you did it anyway. Therefore, you deserve the punishment that you were given.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing that they don't really bring up, you know, like, they talk a little bit about the Doctor also having blood on his hands from the Time War and everything, but they don't really bring up that it's like, you know, the Doctor is still a Time Lord, and while he's the last of it, he's also that also means, especially, he takes upon himself to uphold Time Lord tradition, Time Lord rules and everything. And, you know, and we talk about that sometimes of, like, you know, well, the Time Lord's that good and yada yada and stuff. And it's like, on the whole, the concept of the Time Lords is good. Whether or not an individual Time Lord is good or not varies from, you know, from person to person. But the ideals and the laws of the Time Lords, he does still keep up, with the exception of the interference. So it kind of begs the question, it's like, okay, well, if the Time Lords were still around, how would Time Lord rules apply to Margaret? You know, would they look at it? Granted, I know their whole thing is non-interference, but that's also a rule they break all the time. So, but it's a thing of, like, would the Time Lords look at this and be like, well, you are, you know, according to the timeline, you are supposed to go here and receive the punishment that they laid out for you. You know, so it's like, in a sense, it's like the Doctor has authority and also doesn't have authority. You know, just off of the non-existence now of the Time Lords. Yeah. So,
as the King in The King and I says, "'Tis a puzzlement."
Yeah. So, but it's interesting, you know, for bringing back one of the Slitheen, that they get such a, like, philosophical episode out of it. You know, out of the aliens that farted all the time. So
yeah, I mean, but though that's the nature about the debate of evil. You know, there are certain cultures and specifically religions in the world which define what they consider to be evil, and 2 to 4, 6,000 years ago, those things would be considered evil, which are no longer considered that. You know, so, you know, are a culture's values absolute? can we live by things that happened 6,000 years ago? Because the modern world isn't at all like it was back then.
Yeah.
So, to me, a culture has to adapt. Everything has to adapt. Here in the United States, there are the people who say, we should believe and do the things in the United States just like the U.S. Constitution set out in 1789. Really? Because in 1789, the only weapons were single-shot muskets and pistols. That means that anything that happened after that should be banned. Certain cultures in the United States, people from Africa, Native Americans, were not allowed to be considered human beings. Should we allow that to happen? No. The whole thing is, and I mean, 100,000 years of human history has proven, in order to survive, you have to adapt. You have to change.
Yeah.
Because the world changes. The only constant is that everything changes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, very well written. I didn't notice who wrote it there at the beginning.
I think it was RTD.
Oh.
So.
But very well written. And again, they didn't make, in my opinion, they didn't say, the Doctor is right, the Doctor is wrong, Margaret is right, Margaret's wrong. What they said was, here's the discussion, folks. Go out and think about it.
Yeah. It's like, even though it's like, you have the Doctor, and it's like, well, you could very easily side with the Doctor, and you could very easily side against Margaret, because we watched the episodes. She was the one specifically laying out the plan. We're going to, destroy and irradiate this entire planet, sell it as chunks for space fuel. It's like, she was the one specifically laying out that plan. But at the same time, you do look at it and it's like, well, it's something to talk about. Definitely. So yeah. And on top of that was a fun dinner scene.
Yeah.
So, of her just desperately trying to kill him, and him just, at every opportunity, just putting it down. So, like, catching the dart, hitting her with the breath spray. Like, that was all good and fun.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the subplot there, the whole thing with Mickey. In the very first time when she left with the Doctor, leaving Mickey behind, she said something that, to me, was their relationship. When she said, he said something, and she said exactly, So, their relationship obviously was mostly physical. She was not into the relationship as much as he was. And that's why she left, because she couldn't see a future with him.
Yeah.
I don't think she was toying with him. I mean, it was one of those things, and a lot of people, including me, have gone through this, that you're with someone and you say, well, this feels right at the moment, but where do I see this relationship in 5 years? And you go, I don't know where this is going in 5 years. You want to wait and see how it develops, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes somebody walks away. And for Mickey to finally make that decision, I think, means that he has finally realized that the two of them weren't going to work out no matter what he did. And maybe he feels foolish for having gotten into a relationship with her at the time, but it's, like Ambassador Sarek says, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But hopefully, we will, and again, I don't know, having not seen the conclusion of the whole arc of Rose's story, but it seems to me that was never going to work out. And she simply decided in that moment, I'm going to take a chance. And she's not romantically involved with the Doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know that she was romantically involved with Mickey for that. They were pals, they were friends. She might have been saying, hey, maybe there's something going on here. But at that precise moment when she left to go with the Doctor, she said, from where I'm standing right now, this doesn't look like it's going to work. And she went off. And that's just,
I mean, because you have to think about, like, the whole thing of, it is unusual circumstances running off with the time traveler, but, like, let's put this into kind of real terms. Let's say, spur of the moment, one night, Rose packs a bag and goes with this guy and moves to France. And she comes back every so often, and, she says, hey, I'm in Cardiff, why don't you come over here? I need my passport, and, even though she didn't actually need it and stuff. But, she basically phones him to say, hey, I'm in Cardiff, why don't you come hang out? And then, at the end of it, she heads back to France. And it's like, yeah, you would kind of think, like, okay, so this clearly wasn't going anywhere, and she decided that she was going to make a change. It's just that, honestly, it's just you weren't ready. You didn't see it yet. But hopefully now, it's like, you should understand, yeah, you probably deserve better than a girl who randomly just up and goes to France one night, you know? Or in this case, up and goes with a time traveler out of nowhere. It's like, you should get to that point. It's like, and you're right, that it seems like now, it's like, you know, he's kind of thought about it. You know, he's tried going out with Trisha Delaney, and, you know, they're like, well, you don't even like Trisha Delaney. But it's all just a thing of, like, he's trying, and now it's just here. It's like, finally, it's just, all right, I can move on. You know, we're still friends. Maybe we could still hang out, but I need to move on. So it is sort of that, and not that Rose is really, like, toxic to him or anything, but it is sort of that this is not a good person for you, and you kind of need to cut her out, or at least not make her so much of your life, you know, to where every waking moment when she's not there, you wish she was, you know. If she shows back up, that's great. You can hang out with her and, you know, just have some fun. But when she's gone, your life needs to keep moving, basically. So, so yeah. In terms of the other stuff, well, we kept Jack.
Yeah.
Jack's still around, which is nice. He didn't do much in this episode, but it was kind of nice. I liked the moment of, you know, him laying out the plan, and the doctor's like, I'm sorry, I think I'm in charge here. Anyway, good plan. Let's do that. So, it's just like, yeah, the doctor doesn't really make plans. He just kind of improvises, you know? So,
like Indiana Jones, I'm making this stuff up as I go along.
Yeah, so, I like the chase that they had through the mayor's office of, you know, the doctor trying to, you know, get across the balcony and stuff. Jack jumping over the thing. Mickey not jumping over the thing. He tried. It's not like anyone was really going to see. So, I don't know why he tried. He could have easily just gone around, but he didn't. So,
yeah, again, I think one of the strengths of the are we calling it a reboot? What are we calling it? Revival.
Revival.
Is the fact that they've added everyday humor. You know, they're not specifically doing slapstick. You know, it's just that, yes, Mickey is not Jack, and whereas you know, Jack is somebody who can hurdle a cart from the washerwoman or whoever that was. You know, Mickey can't. He thinks he can, but he is brought down to earth literally rather quickly with his foot in a bucket.
And I mean, to be fair, because, you know, when she starts to get away and they're like, well, wait, who was covering exit 4? And it's like, oh, Mickey, and he shows up right then. It's like, to be fair, Mickey's just a guy. Like, he should not be a part of any of this. Like, the doctor is the doctor. Jack is ridiculous. And Rose has been traveling with them, and so has picked up a lot. Mickey is just a guy. A bloke, as they would say. And it's just like,
just a bloke.
You shouldn't expect him to, you know, corner the genocidal alien, you know? So, and luckily, the sonic screwdriver can just mess with teleports at least, so. And you know, because they also talk about, you know, it's like, oh, well, you didn't teleport any of your family out from the explosion. It's like, oh, it only carries one. It's like, okay, you didn't supply the rest of your family with emergency teleports. It's like, how come you are the only one that has that, you know? So, it's like, it's just another layer to the whole conversation. But yeah. But still, all around very interesting seeing Margaret and the Bleidedrug project. I will say, that is like the shortest, least complicated Welsh I've ever heard in my life. So that's really nice. But yeah, but the Bad Wolf. What is the Bad Wolf? It's probably, I mean,
it's the next episode. We know that.
Yeah, it is the next episode. But still, but what does it all mean? What could it all mean? Do you have any sort of theory?
No clue whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just been a background thing that's said. You know, it's exactly as Rose says. You know, it's something that's been following them, but they've really only noticed it now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have some theories, but I don't want to say anything.
I mean, you can. It's not like you're going to spoil me on anything,
Yeah.
so...
Well, I mean, let's face it. In the past 27 seasons, other than Daleks, who has really followed the Doctor around? So it may or may not be him. If it is, that's fun. If it's not, if it's somebody else, I have no problems with that.
Yeah, so... I mean, that's true. It's like, because I'm not... I mean, like, whatever. It's like, oh, is it him? Is it not? It's like, that is one thing, though, of like, yeah, I'm suddenly just flooding back into my mind, like, oh yeah, like every other episode in Classic, we were like, is it him? Is it him? Maybe, and sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, so maybe. But, I mean, honestly, that's a very valid theory going into it, so.
Yeah, like I said, the first 1 or 2 times, it would have never crossed my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
But the fact that they've woven it into practically this entire season, it kind of says, we're pointing to this particular personage.
Yeah.
And again, if it's somebody new, I'm fine with that. But it seems to be where it's going.
Yeah, the modern seasons definitely love the mystery box format of like, yes, it is very episodic, standalone episodes and everything, but they do sort of like weaving in that mystery that will take us into the finale. So yeah, who knows? I mean, I know.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
And they know, but...
The shadow do.
Yeah, so... yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's pretty much all we got for this episode, unless you got anything else.
I got nothing.
Then with all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our modern Doctor Who reactions, as well as another place for all of our classic Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.